Okay, I'm coming up on the home of Ivan Misner. Many people know him as a global entrepreneur, a speaker, and really the godfather of networking with BNI. Ivan's actually authored a book, Who's in Your Room, with two other co-authors that are very, very successful. Now, these guys have had immense success in their personal lives individually. Now they've come together to put together a book called Who's in Your Room, and they're really going to be sharing the secrets of how to thrive. Not survive, but thrive, not only in your business life, but in your personal life. These are guys that have applied these principles, in their own lives, and they've had the results that most people are seeking. So come on, follow me, let's find out, let's meet these guys. So I hear that Ivan is quite the wine collector. So I brought a bottle of wine. I don't know if it's good or not, or if it's going to meet his standards, but we're going to find out.
Hey,
Ivan, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Great to see you. I brought you a gift. I know you're quite the collector. I don't know if it's any good, but hey, I did my best.
Okay, so Opus 1 2012. Yeah, you are so welcome.
I get it right. I get it right once in a while. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our humble abode. Come on in.
Wow, what a nice place. I see that you're not only appreciating fine wine, but I can't help to notice your art collection.
Yeah, this piece in particular I really love because it's a George Adolphus story, 1888. Wow. And we got it in New Orleans right after Katrina. It was sitting up against the wall in an antique shop, and it's called No Wife. Huh. And it's a minister who has no wife, and he's asking this woman if she would be kind enough to darn his socks. Now, nice. I know that story because it's actually written on the back of the painting in the artist's hand.
From the artist?
From the artist. He wrote that story down. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of my favorite pieces in my collection.
Wow, how long have you been collecting?
I started when I was 31 years old. It was the first piece of art that I bought, and it's because I took an art appreciation course in college and just loved this art, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to collect something like this someday? And
well, I hope I get the official tour after.
Absolutely. Be happy to do that.
After you.
After you.
Wow. That's quite the spread here.
Thank you. We enjoy it here.
How long have you lived here?
Almost 4 years. Austin's beautiful. We really enjoy it. It's not what you think of with Texas. Very green, rolling hills.
Yeah, I've been to Texas many times. I haven't spent time in Austin, but I didn't expect the hills and all the green.
Yeah, and the animals.
Oh, really?
Deer and wild turkey.
I'm really excited to meet your co-authors. Is it Rick and Stuart?
Yeah, Rick and Stuart.
Yeah.
So we've been working all day, doing a lot of work on the book and the audio, and they have been working really, really hard. We're probably going to catch them just working like crazy in my office here.
Nice. What is that, about 100 steps?
52.
52, you've counted, okay.
Come on in.
All right, wow. Well, it looks like a party up in here. Hey guys, I'll be right there. Listen, if you want to change your life, if you really want to learn the secrets of thriving in your personal life, thriving in your business, you want to see the right actions to take to have the right reaction, this is an episode you won't want to miss. Stick with us. We'll be right back more with Ivan Misner from his house. Stick with us. So I'm here with Dr. Ivan Misner, Rick Sapio, and Stuart Emery. And guys, I appreciate you taking some time to sit down so we can talk about the new upcoming book. First of all, you guys have had immense success in your own personal careers. You've done everything from building massive companies, giving TED Talks, writing best-selling books, but now you're coming together to put out this, what I think is a very important body of work. And of course, we're going to really get into that. But first, I have to know, how did you guys kind of come together? Have you worked in the past, or what's the story there? They're both looking at you, so.
You got a good answer before.
So, we've been in business a long, long time, and we have a lot of experience in various aspects of our own businesses. And as time went on, we got to know one another and work with each other and really just put all of that experience together into this book, a book that we all wish we had when we were 20 years old.
Right.
And we didn't. And we want this as a gift, not only for the 20-year-olds, but for the older people, the baby boomers like us. But this book is just so powerful. We wanted to make sure people got it. And that's what led us to do this book together.
And we were brought together because when we delved into commonality of how we build our lives and our businesses and our success and our happiness, we found we sort of ran our lives by a similar set of principles.
Right.
And we thought, wow, something here. And so one of us came up with the idea for the title of the book, and then that defined the book.
Wow. So give us the basic premise of the book.
Yeah, so imagine that you live your life in one room, and that one room has one door, and that one door is an enter-only door, so that when people come into your life, they're there forever. You can never get them out. That's sort of a yikes moment, you know, you can never get them out. Well, a lot of people say to us, you know, you can get them out of your life. I would argue, and I think my co-authors agree, you can't get them out of your head. And if you can't get them out of your head, you can't get them out of your life. And so what we wanted to do with this book is to talk about how do you create the room of your dreams, the life of your dreams. And that's the whole focus of the book.
I do want to add one thing on that is this book would not have been possible if all three of us were involved. It had to have contributions from all three of us, and I hesitate to say, but there's almost 200 years of wisdom sitting in front of you. But the thing that we realized, all of us, is that every problem that we've ever had in our life, every problem, started at the moment that we let someone into the room of our life that didn't align with our values.
Right.
And if we could stop people at the door and not let them in the room of our life because we know they're going to be here forever, what magic could happen if every decision that we collectively made and all of you made and everybody listening made, every decision you make from that point forward in your life was a positive life-generating decision, and it compounds over time. That's the premise of the book.
And then the other side of that is I looked at my own life and I realized everything that brought me joy and satisfaction, and what I like to call as aliveness, this feeling of being fully alive, was a result of having people in my room who supported that quality in my own life, who cared about the things that I cared about, and who supported me in becoming really, really good at doing something that I loved.
Wow. And I think that so many people out there are guilty of this, that it's not that they're not smart enough, it's not that they don't work hard enough, it's not that they're not as devoted as they could be or whatever, but a lot of times without realizing it, we've let someone into that room that is really damaging. They're really hindering us from reaching that full potential. Is there a way that we can kind of, if we've made those mistakes in the past, we have these people in our, do I need a bouncer that get them out of the room? Is there a doorman, or how does that work?
Well, listen, that was Rick's concept, the doorman. So share with them about that.
Well, the first thing is the most impactful and leverageable way to change your life is from this point forward to not make those decisions that are counter to productivity and life generation. I'll call it that. The funny thing is so many people don't have this simple tool to implement. So what do? We let toxic people into our lives. We marry toxic people. We have business partners that are toxic. And we don't realize we have choice in the matter. Yeah. For example, a personal story to me is my mom, rest her soul, unbelievable lady, but she added a lot of toxicity to my life. And when I realized that there was a way to compartmentalize that toxicity, you'll learn about it in the book, when I learned that, it gave me so much more power.
Sure.
So the very first step is the realization that you have choice in who gets in the room of your life. Mm-hmm. As it relates to people already in your life, we've created some really simple tools to put them in a box and put them on a shelf high up in your room. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, I think a lot of people just react to life.
Sure.
Yes.
They don't realize they have choice.
That's right.
And this book is so simple, and we were talking earlier, Ivan mentioned how implementable this is. Yeah. In one reading, I mean, we were very careful to make the book short. In one reading, you could begin to make decisions, and the impact will be felt immediately.
Yeah.
We wanted this book to be actionable. And we're all believers in the law of attraction.
Yeah,
but the
sure.
thing is, the word action is part of the word attraction. And so you have to take action. It's not just what you attract into your life, which is really important, but then you also have to
Sure.
take action.
Yeah, and from what I understand, I know that the conversation of putting this book together has been quite some time, but from what I understand, that you guys have really been teaching these principles in your own businesses, in your own lives, to your own students, and you've really seen a lot of results. Talk a little bit about what you've seen teaching these principles from the book.
Well, we had a program called Actualizations, which really means to make the spirit within you real through taking action in the world. And it was a program about self-improvement, self-actualization, self-transformation. And we told people, if you want to change your life, you need a new set of friends probably. You've got to keep company with people committed to transforming their own lives.
Sure.
And so that's a kind of like who's in the room. You have people in your room who are committed to some level of personal transformation, some personal level of growth and discovery, and who are willing to support one another in that process.
Yeah.
And so we've been working with the principle, and we just wanted a simpler way to say it all. And to us, who's in your room, that's very intuitive. And then if you look at the subtitle, which is the secret to creating your best life, the word create is an action-based
Sure. Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
It's not about sitting back and waiting for it to happen. It's about creating. And so they're very powerful ideas.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm the founder of BNI,
Right.
a referral marketing platform, and people get together, they pass each other referrals. It is so important that these people know, like, and trust each other.
Yeah, sure.
And so you have to really get good on understanding the values of the organization, and then screening people who come into the chapter to make sure that they're the best. And that's why this really resonated with me, this concept, because your network is as strong as the people in it.
That's right.
And so it's like the quality of your life depends on the people in your life. Well, the quality of your network depends on the people in your network.
That's a great point, and we want to take a short break, but when we come back, I want to hear about a personal story regarding who's in your room. Rick, the last time we spoke, you had mentioned to me about a story of someone that really just started thinking differently about who they're allowing in the room, and they had great results. Stick with us, we'll be right back. More with the boys in a minute. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Ivan Misner, Stuart Emery, Rick Sapio. Guys, you've had a lot of success over your careers. You've come together for this very important book, Who's in Your Room? And we were talking a little bit about the principles that you've been teaching for quite some time. You know, the book's now coming to fruition. I'm hoping before the end of the interview we get the release date. But you've really seen results with teaching some of the principles. Rick, when we spoke recently, you relayed a really great story. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely. A very close friend of mine called me up. She was absolutely broken. She was in tears. This woman has 4 daughters, and sadly her oldest daughter, who was now 18, was dating someone for 2 years that was wreaking havoc on their family. And unfortunately this story plays out across America, but this boyfriend was a drug dealer. And oftentimes he would take the daughter away for weeks at a time. They didn't know where she was. They would find money stolen, jewelry stolen. And you think about it. This is your oldest daughter. And this girl, prior to dating this guy, was at the top of her class academically. And now you think about what's going to happen to this family. You think about pregnancy.
Yeah.
You think about jail. You think about the younger siblings. And so I said, let me, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a risk here. Let me teach you values-based decision-making and the doorman principle. And literally it took me 10 minutes, and I'm going to do it now in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I said, why don't you sit down with your daughter and teach her values-based decision-making. Come up with a list of actionable values that she aspires to live by. And the mother said to me that she was saying words like integrity and honesty and long-term commitment and education and
The
things
daughter.
like that.
Yeah.
And she didn't expect that. I didn't expect her
Sure.
to tell me that. And so I said, teach her the doorman principle. Doorman principle is if you hand your values to an imaginary doorman and that doorman will not let people into your life that don't fully align with your stated values, your life will change like that. Long story short, about 2 months later, she calls me up, and I didn't know what to expect. I was hesitant to pick up the phone. And she's like, "You're not going to believe it." And I didn't know if it was going to be negative or positive. She said, "My daughter came down to breakfast. I hadn't seen her in a while. And she said, I broke up with Trevor." And the husband and wife were like in shock. And they didn't want to say anything, but the mom said, "Why'd you break up with Trevor?" She said, "He didn't align with my values."
Wow.
You think about
Yeah.
what did that save that family? That one simple exercise that anybody can
10
implement.
minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It saved them a lifetime of chaos.
Yes.
Well, and I remember reading in an article years ago that if you teach somebody something, be careful who your friends are, and you teach them something, they might retain very little, 10% or less. But when you help somebody discover something, they might adopt that as their personal framework, and that becomes part of their philosophy or ideology. And what I love is the way this book has such a great story. It really allows itself to just visualize and really get there. And I think that she discovered, those principles for herself, and in a very short period of time, you got the results.
And the key is that we give the framework for
Yeah.
it, but what goes in that framework is all yours.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the person who's reading it, and so it's their values, it's their concept of the doorman, it's all their ideas within the framework that we provide through the book.
I want to talk and expand a little bit more on the subtitle of the book, who's in your room. And Stuart, you mentioned it briefly, The Secret of Creating Your Best Life. How did we land on that, and expand a little bit on this subtitle?
Well, I love the subtitle because I think while it seems patently obvious in some ways, getting it down to such a simple, powerful idea almost is a secret.
Sure.
We've reached the simplicity on the other side of complexity, and it took us 200 years combined. And we really I wished I'd known then what I know now.
Sure.
I could have made a greater contribution. I could have touched more people. I could have helped more people become really good at doing something that they love. And I've done a lot of corporate work with some big name companies, and we used to always go through this of picking teams. And I'd watch people go about picking a team, and they'd come up, well, we need this competency, we need that skill, we need
Right.
this thing, we need the other thing. And I'd say, wrong answer, guys. Because you can get all of the knowledge, all of the skills, all of the experience. But if you've got a pissed off team, none of that will ever work if there's just built-in abrasiveness. And you commented today that we got 3 guys got more work done working with your great team than you normally ever see get done in 5 days. But that's because as a group of people, we've come together because we share values.
Yeah.
So we've had a let's be in others' room approach rather than who's got what skills.
Yep. And I can notice, there's a real synergy here. I think when your values align, it creates this certain synergy that's not just based on, skill sets or offsetting people's skill sets. I know in the past for me, I've made the mistake of doing exactly what you said, hiring based on, we need a guy that has these skill sets, we need this type of personality here.
Yeah.
And that's really a logical way to go. It's something that most people do. But at the end of the day, if you're not really vetting their values and who's coming into your room, you can have disastrous results.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I've had huge
Yeah.
disastrous results, and it really came about because of a conversation that I had with Stuart about this
So we got
concept
together on this.
on who's in your room. And there's one person in particular that I was working with in a project. He was really qualified, incredibly qualified, but full of drama.
Oh.
Lots of drama. And I let him in, and the project went to hell in a handbasket, and things were incredibly difficult. And after we had this conversation, I realized, you know what? This is all my fault. It's not really his fault. That's who he is. I knew it going into it, and I brought him in anyway. It's all my fault.
Wow.
I need to fix this. And I realized this guy's got to get out of the project because he was just full of drama. I might have been able to deal with him, but the people around, they didn't want to have to deal with that. And so you got to recognize if your life is what it is, it's because you curated that.
Sure.
And the beauty of this book is you can curate something different.
And I love that it's simple, Dan.
Yeah.
High-powered, highly paid HR executives talk about, well, is this going to be a culture fit? But that gets to be a headspace conversation.
That's right.
But who's in your room is a heart-spaced conversation.
Yeah.
And so once you line up all of the people who could fit the credentials, do have the skills, they could do the job technically, and then you have a conversation with the key people in your room and say, okay, of all of these candidates,
Sure.
who would we let into our room as a human being?
Yeah.
That changes the outcome, and what it does to productivity is astonishing. Worth 100, 200, 300, 400% improvement in productivity and deliverables.
Yeah.
So if you're an entrepreneur, this is a big deal, particularly if you're starting out entrepreneur, where you've got to do a lot with less.
Right. And it's something that anyone can apply, right?
Yes.
What I love about the book personally, and I've had a chance to really get into it myself, I won't give anything away, but most entrepreneurs, we have a certain daily routine, right? We're up early, we're constantly educating, we're listening to podcasts, we're reading books. And I read a lot of books on entrepreneurship, leadership, and most of the books out there, there's a lot of nuggets to glean, there's a lot of value, but most of the ideas are, you need more grind, more time in the day, more sacrifice, more capital, right? You need more funds, you need more expansion. And this is really talking about quite the opposite in some ways. It's talking about less. It's talking about stripping things down, keeping it simple, being more focused on quality. Think about the internet right now. We have so much conversation. There's a large quantity of conversation, but we're really losing the quality. And the premise of this book, it's so simple. It's this enjoyable read, but at the end of the day, the result is, after you read it, it's quite profound. It really stimulates your thinking.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we talk about in the book is the idea of practicing letting go and holding on,
Yeah.
both. That there are things you want to hold on to, like your values and the relationships you have, but there are some things that it's important to let go. And that's where the less is more comes in.
Sure.
That it's okay to say no under the right circumstances, and that's one of the things that we teach.
Yeah, what I've learned both in this project and all of the work I've done prior to this project is it's the mistakes that we make that really set us back.
Sure.
We could do everything right. We could do everything right in our life, and we could marry the wrong person that doesn't align with our values.
Sure.
Or we could have an incredible business and we could hire the wrong CEO. And what I've learned about life is people generally don't make the same mistake twice. They make it 15 or 20 times.
Yeah, that's right.
And we want to see time
I'm
out.
okay.
But why do they make the same mistake over and over and over? Because they don't have this simple tool.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so one of the things I thought would be cool is, and why I love this team, is we each bring a value to the table that made this project magical.
That's right.
And so it's values-based decision-making is one of the things we talk about in the book. But the book really centers you on important values that are going to be keystone values in your life.
Yeah.
And I thought if we could just share what those are, what your primary value is.
Well, if I look at my own life, I see that what's always brought me fully alive is to be committed to doing something really, really well. In other words, committing to mastery and supporting people who are committed to mastery. And so I just love supporting excellence in any field, supporting and mentoring and coaching CEOs and individual people who want to become world-class at doing something that
Sure.
they love. So that's what drives how I live my life.
And for me, my primary value is simplicity. And funny thing, my secondary value is family. And I've got 4 young kids, they're ages 4, 6, 8, and 10. But I couldn't spend time with them if my primary value was not simplicity.
Yeah.
So it's simplicity first, then family. And what I've seen, and I was going to mention it earlier, what I've seen is that the most successful people that I've ever met, including these 2 gentlemen, lead relatively straightforward and simple lives.
Sure.
They don't get caught up in all that chaos. And you watch the average person, they wake up in the morning and it's email and text and Twitter and this and that and Facebook. They're not in control of their life.
That's right.
For me, one of my principal core values is the concept of giver's gain. this idea of what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've inculcated into the DNA of my organization. And I think it's part of this book, because the whole idea of this book is to teach others how to not make the mistakes we've made, to not make the mistakes others have made, and then to give them the principles and the actionable steps to apply these concepts in their life. Giver's gain. It's a powerful concept.
I heard once that experience is learning from your mistakes. Wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, as I'm here listening to you guys, one thing that occurs to me about this book is, as entrepreneurs, we're always looking for things that can move the needle, right? Like, where can I put my focus? 80-20 rule, right? Where can I put that focus that's going to make the broadest impact and move the needle? And sometimes it's like, well, I can expand this, or I can create more here, but it's going to cost more. This is a simple principle that we can apply. It doesn't cost anything, right?
No.
We just put the time in and focus on it. But at the
It
time,
saves people money, I think.
Yeah, it moves the needle the most. It can increase productivity, completely change the culture of your business, and save money.
Well, it's worth it just for learning how to say no.
Yes.
I have a friend, Robert Brunner, who founded Apple's internal industrial design lab and hired Jonathan Ive. And Robert and I did a book together called Do You Matter How Great Design Will Make People Love Your Company? And Steve told Robert, he said, the thing I'm probably most proud of at Apple is the thousands of things we say no to before we say yes to the right thing.
Yeah.
We don't waste resources letting the wrong project through the doors of Apple.
And I
which
think a
is
lot of
another way of looking who's in your room.
You're right, and I think a lot of people want to say yes. I want to say yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not in alignment with my values or my mission. And so you got to learn when something is an opportunity, a true opportunity, or a distraction.
That's right.
And we talk about some of those things here so that we can teach you the steps to do
And
that.
so, sometimes those opportunities, they're real opportunities, but they also can bring a lot of distraction as well. I mean, you might be able to monetize it, but still it is a distraction. It doesn't align with your overall vision. And I think that's something that really people forget to think about sometimes. There's a big difference between the guy that has learned how to make a lot of money right, versus somebody that is truly successful, somebody that really has it figured out. To your point earlier, Rick, when you're around real success, generally they're pretty happy people, they're pretty simple, and they have real joy in their family. Their values are aligned. Most of the time their business isn't their number one focus. But you hear these guys right now out there saying, oh man, it's all about the grind. You gotta tell your family, sorry man, just in 20 years I'm gonna set us up. I gotta go pay my dues. And that's really not how real successful people think or act.
This dear, I want to go back to, because when Rick said it to me, he said, people have got to learn to tell the difference between an opportunity and a distraction. And I thought, boy, am I guilty as charged. I'm a guy who can get excited and distracted by the shininess of a new idea, the bright, shiny object of a new idea. And Rick kind of took me to the woodshed, and I thought, well, good for you, Rick, thank you.
Here's the bottom line. If you're unwilling to take the time out of your life to figure out what your values are, how can you tell the difference between an opportunity and a distraction? You can't. And so I think what happens is we become addicted to yes. Yeah. And we're running around chasing blinky, shiny objects. I love the Bill Gates, I love the Warren Buffett quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. And I'm a shareholder of Berkshire Hathaway, and I go to their annual meetings. And Buffett says this almost every year. My favorite quote, he says, the difference between successful people and extremely successful people is that extremely successful people say no to almost everything, and they only say yes when they find something completely aligned with their values and their objectives.
Quality.
And then when they say yes, I think the next step to success is you got to do 6 things 1,000 times. So you say yes based on your values to a handful of things, and you do 6 things 1,000 times instead of 1,000 things 6 times.
That's right.
And people are constantly chasing those bright, shiny objects and then can't understand why they aren't successful at whatever it is they're
And
doing.
6 things 1,000 times is part of the formula for mastery.
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Well, and that's really a problem that we're having if you think about it online right now. Because of the internet, social media, it's very easy now for people to have a voice and be heard, and even to position themselves as an expert. But again, you have these people that are doing 1,000 things 6 times. they're positioning themselves as an expert, and
Yeah.
really they haven't done any. They've read the right books, they have some knowledge, but they don't have the experience. They haven't fully immersed themselves in the trenches, lived it, had the wins and the losses, and really become those entrepreneurs that can weather those
Right.
storms and provide real values. And that's something I think that is very different here. These are like pearls of wisdom. These are the nuggets from people that have actually done it, and obviously they've taken the right actions, and they're enjoying the right results from those actions. Let me ask you a question. What are you really hoping the readers of this book to really walk away from? There's so much great information, but what's the one thing you're actually wanting for people to just kind of shift or think about after reading the book?
I want people to walk away and say this book changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. It's more than a meme, it's a mission. It's the way I need to live my life.
Yeah.
I believe that in life, you're either generating, creating something, or you're consuming. So you're consuming media and TV shows, etc. It is impossible to be generating and consuming at the same time. And I think these young people today, they spend a vast majority of their life consuming and very little of their life generating. And we want to create people that are generating their life. And so this is a pattern interrupt for those people, that they could stop that pattern of consuming, using. If you're on Facebook or you're on social media, you're consuming.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're writing a book or creating a business or writing a report or building a relationship with a mentor, you're generating. And so I hope this book creates a line in the sand for people to realize I can have an impact on my own life. I don't have to react anymore.
Yeah. And is it too much to ask, like, are we able to get a release date on the book when it'll be out?
I don't know the exact date, but it's the first week of November of this
coming
year.
up, first
This
week in November, we're going to see the book.
Yes.
And that's going to be the print version
Yes.
and also digital?
Print and digital.
Oh, nice.
Will both be out the first week of November of
Oh,
this year.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
We're excited.
And for me, I want the book to have people living up to the subtitle, living the secret to creating the best life, their best life, the best version of themselves,
Yeah.
by doing something brilliantly well that fills them full of life.
Yeah.
I love it. And I heard a rumor that you guys have already started on the audiobook. Is that
We have. We've
Is that
spent the day working on it today. So,
so? Not recording separately all together.
Yeah,
All together,
Oh my
right?
gosh!
alternating chapters.
How was that? What was that like when you guys all sit in a room? I can't imagine
We
you
did
were
it
able
in
to
a
get.
day. Who does an audio book in a day, right?
Oh my gosh!
We think we did something unique. We actually filmed us reading. So
Nice.
I don't know how lively the video will be. But
Oh, I have no doubt it was lively, and hopefully you guys went up on some.
There were some tangents, yeah. So
Extra
when the
nuggets.
audio version comes out, there's going to be some tangents, and we even say, at least I said, okay, so I'm getting off book here. I'm
Yeah.
going to talk about this now, and so I think you guys did as
It
well.
was good.
Well, I can tell, there's so many books out there, and most books out there, they have some value, they have real nuggets, but I just have the feeling that I'm in the presence of something truly great. I feel like, some of my favorite books over the years that I've read, and I've probably bought no less than 20 copies of these books, they were written back in the 40s, 50s, 60s,
Right.
and today they're as relevant today as they ever were. And I know this is that type of book that's going to stand the test of time. It's
Yep.
going to be, the book that we're going to see decade after decade, impacting people and really having a broad reach.
You mentioned you bought copies and gave
Yeah.
them. I think this is the perfect book for that. Buy copies and give them to the people you care about, the people you love, the people who you want them to create their ideal life, their
Yeah.
perfect life.
Yeah.
And so this is a great gift book, I think.
Well, I plan to pick up the first 5 or 10 copies of. There's people already I'm thinking of it like, oh my God, they need this book. I'm going to pick, including myself. So I'm so excited to pick this up. I know I'm going to be getting this, the audio, everything. And I want to say one thing, first of all, I have to say today, I love my job. Okay, I have the best job ever. I get to interview these amazing people, these global entrepreneurs, people that are having real impact. And occasionally we have celebrities and all these people, but one thing that I realize is, interviewing celebrities, seeing all this Hollywood, it's not about being a star, it's about being the light. And I have to say, you guys are really the light for so many people. I know you've made a real impact in your own companies, and now coming together and doing this. As grandiose as that may sound, this is the type of book that has a tipping point that can really, make the world a better place, honestly.
I think you may not be able to make a world of difference as an individual, but you can make a difference in the world. And I think this book will help make a difference in the world.
Well, I have to say this, if I was to pick one room to live my whole life, this may be the room, honestly.
This could work for you.
This could work for me, man, and I appreciate your guys' graciousness in allowing me to sit down with you. Usually I would say, please come back, but since I'm at your house, can I come back and hang out with you guys and do a follow-up?
You're part of the room.
I'm in the room? Oh my gosh, I made it. Guys, thank you so much for everything that you do. And, we're out of time. Thank you so much to everyone. I am excited to go out and read this book. If it's okay, I might try to take a dip in that pool that we saw.
That was fun.
And I smelled something when I came through the house, so we're going to talk about that. But thank you so much for tuning in. As always, don't forget to get involved in your local community and be forgiving of others. Good night, everybody. Well, guys, thank you so much for letting me stay for dinner and crash the party. I'm so excited about being in this room. Everything smells absolutely amazing.
Amazing. So we have here, we have Sasha, who is the owner of Gregorio's, and my beautiful, lovely wife. I'm married up, as you can tell. And so, Sasha, what do we have? Sasha, by the way, is a BNI member.
Oh,
a little
nice.
organization that I started 34.
Very little organization.
200 years ago.
8,500 groups, but Sasha's a member of one of the chapters. So, Sasha, tell us, what do we have for dinner tonight?
So we're actually doing a combination of things because we wanted to do everything organic and also have some vegan options. So we are doing a chilled beet soup that has lots of fresh seasonal veggies and summer's cocktail clothes. So I wanted to just capture that one more time, and then we also have quinoa salad. Again, same idea, and then we have some roasted garlic chicken quarters from the local farmers market.
Nice. So would we say this is kind of an Italian theme,
Yes.
or is it?
Yes, so we actually are an Italian catering company.
Oh, nice.
But we really try to focus on making sure that the meal that we prepare, everybody can enjoy. So we try to accommodate all the dietary restrictions.
Wow.
Sasha's an amazing chef. We've used her a number of times
Thank
right
you.
here in Austin, Texas.
Well, thank you so much for everything, and I'm going to let you lead the way so I can dig in. I'm hungry.
Yes, absolutely.